Hi everyone, welcome to another video series on Agentforce. So today we're going to build a sales agent or an SDR agent. So basically this is more of a conversational agent where you're able to send an email automatically to your leads once either they are created or updated based on specific criteria that you want to use. So without further ado, I'll just go into my org. Let me just zoom in a bit. And then here, we're going to create a lead, and then based on the industry, we are going to send out an email to that lead, and then after that, the agent can converse with the lead as the communication goes on. So first things first, we go to the setup here. In the setup, there's some prerequisites that are required for this agent to work. I've already done it. So here, you search for the lead nurturing. You can see lead nurturing here, Agentforce for Sales. Then click on the lead nurturing. So here, you love to make sure like this 7 out of 7 steps are completed for your agent to work. I see turn on automated, provide manage access for managers and users is set. And let me see if it is zoomed in. And then there is assign and verify users for meeting schedule and configure data for agents, build and manage agents. So also these steps are configured and you are seeing 7 out of 7 here. You're good to go and start building your agent. Now, before we build an agent, we need a knowledge base. So for us, I'm going to build an agent based on, let me see. There's this knowledge base that I prepared over here called Genetrix Shoe Knowledge Base. So we're going to use this knowledge base. So this is where our agent will be picking up the information from in order to respond to customer queries once they receive that email. So that is it. First thing, make sure the lead nurturing is configured correctly. And then the second thing is you make sure you have your knowledge base set. Now, once those two things are done, now you come here and search for agent, and then you go for agent first agents. I'm going to add another zoom. So I think last time I showed you have different types of agent. We have the setup agent, we have employee agent, we have the service agent, we have the SDR agent. All agents have their own specific use cases. So today for us, we're going to focus on the SDR agent. So we click on New Agent. Now here we have different types of agent, sales code, service B, 2C, B2B, and D2C. But for us, we're going to pick on lead nurturing for modularity. So this is the one that we want to focus on, and then click on Create. So as we wait for now here, you click on Build a New Agent. So click on Build a New Agent. Of course, you select the lead nurturing, then click on Continue. Of course, the user will be the Instant Service Agent user. So this will be the one that will be automatically responding to our agent. Then our agent name, I'm going to give it a, let's say, Genetrix Shoe Company Agent. And then you can call it Genetrix Shoe. The company is Genetrix. Language is English. Tell us about the company description. So company description, you can say Genetrix Shoe Company, okay? That manufactures itself, shows small scale, large scale companies and customers. Maybe something like that. No, click save and continue. So now we need to answer the email settings. The agent sends an issue outreach to, followed by timely notice for those who don't reply. Now, the first thing we need to configure is the primary value proposition. What are the main benefits of our selling point for a product? Then the key achievements. So you have to configure the primary value proposition. So for this one, I'm just going to pick the one that I already have over here. So this is our main selling point. Deliver stylish and comfortable, durable footwear, of course, And then our key achievements. We're just going to add 5 of them over here. So south of 50,000, actually it is 100,000, satisfied clients, the agent will draft all emails for the record owner trivia and prove we don't need to set this own send email using the record owner's identity working hours. All these are known. We can keep it the way it is. So follow-up email on Saturday up to the maximum number of times you set. So we can set it to 4. So that means if somebody does not reply within our first email, we send it again and again up to 4 times. The tone, we can keep it casual. This is the disclosure. So this one, they will see at the foot of the email. And then, of course, if they want to opt out about a messages, this is the opt-out message. So if you send opt-out, it'll be immediately removed. Now, I think we can now click on save. Of course, you can, as you continue, can also test your agent over here. So this is an example of the email that the person will receive, the initial one. Introduce Genetrix Technology, where we specialize in stylish, and then this is the one sent by AI. Then, of course, the opt-out message. And then, yeah, so this is an example. Then you can now continue. Now, the next step is the product knowledge. Remember, initially, before we started, I told you, we need to have our knowledge base ready. You can add a new library over here, and then you select your PDF file. But for us, because it's already added, just click on this new library, give it a name, the data type, which is file, and then you upload it. But for us, going to use an existing one, which is already here, the Genetrix Shoe Company, and the files are already uploaded. And then, so that is the part where we have to configure our knowledge base. Then click on Save. After saving, then we click on Continue. Now, Assign Automates. Now, this is, of course, an important part. Now, this is here. This is where we give the criteria to our agent. When do you want it to fire? So for us, we want it to fire when Al is created or updated and this condition is met. So let me add the condition of, I think we said industry. Industry should be equal to, first of all, we said choose manufacturing. Okay, this one is or not, and or. And then another option is industry equals to, let's choose retail as well. If this one is manufacturing or retail, then our agent will fire. So we click on save, then click on continue. Now this part, this is the qualification settings part. We don't need to do anything. You just can't leave it as inactive the way it is. So click on continue, and then now we can review our agent. Once everything is good, we activate our agent now, and our sales agent was activated. So let's go to the control center and see how it looks like. Now it's time to test our agent. Remember I said we can test it out when Al is created or updated. So for us, I think we're going to update. So I'm going to update, for example, this one. Let me see, or let me create a new lead. Let me create a new one here, new lead. Click next. Then I'm going to say it, shoe test, brand new shoe test. And lastly, which is very important, is the industry. Industry, I'm going to choose manufacturing. Remember, in our agent, we told it to choose either manufacturing or IT, I mean all retail. And then I'm going to click on save. So let's wait and see if our agent will fire. So meanwhile, I'm just going to update this consent over here. But this one is not related to our agent. This is for the growth agent. So let's wait for it to come. No, actually, our email is wrong. That's why now on foot, gmail.com, then industry, I'll choose retail. So an email was sent. So here's where you see your email. So the next part is, this is how it will look like. So, hi, shoe tests. I wanted to introduce Genetrix. And then, of course, you can reply opt out. And so you can just reply to this agent. Click on reply. Sure, I will be interested maybe in your products. Thank you, consent. Then from there, once you click on send, then your agent will take. So if you come to, when your lead replies, you can see always, you can just follow your conversation here and you say, I wanted to do Genetrix. And then of course the person replied, sure, I will be interested in your products. And then, oh, there's another thing maybe. I forgot to set it up over here. There's an option if you want to. If you want the agent to reply immediately, you can also do that. So in your agent, there is the agent. Just refresh this. Wait for load. And we're going for our agent, Genetrix Shoe Company agent, this one. Then over here in the engagement, we can allow agent to respond to customers. You can check this immediately. Then you can save, of course. You can adjust the timing as well and everything. So once that is saved. Now, from there, the agent will be, instead of waiting for a whole day to reply, it will be responding immediately. So the conversation can go on and on. So that is how we configured SDR agent. Thank you and hope you enjoyed.
Hi, welcome to this video. Today, I'm going to show you how to invoke growth emails when a lead changes or is updated in Salesforce. When a lead is updated in Salesforce, we're going to send an email from SFMC Growth. The content of that email will be generated by Agentforce, and from there, we'll push the content directly to Growth, and Growth will send a personalized email to the recipient. This email can be restyled however you wish, and you can use whichever sender profile you want. It has the unsubscribe button, custom headers, and custom footers. Let's jump in. The first thing I'm going to show you is the agent that generates the email content and pushes it to Salesforce. I'm going to open Setup and zoom in. I'll search for Agent and go to Agentforce Agents. Let's wait for it to load. Here we have different types of agents: the Setup Agent, the Service Agent, and the SDR Agent. We're going to focus on the Service Agent because the Service Agent gives us the option to integrate with external systems. We won't focus on the SDR Agent today. I'll show you that one in the next video. The agent we're going to use is the Agentforce Service Agent, and it's already on version 1. Let me open it up. I've already built it from scratch, so I'm just going to show you how it works. Initially, these were called topics, but Salesforce has now changed them to sub-agents. We have different topics here, and the one we're going to use is generate email content. We gave it a name. The API name was generated, along with the classification and the scope. As I said at the start, this agent generates the email content based on lead changes. If the lead's industry type changes to manufacturing, retail, IT, or cosmetics, the agent is invoked, and it generates the email content. For it to do that, you have to pass in the lead ID and the industry type. If you've used Agentforce before, you know that to test whether it's working correctly, you can come here and type something like generate email content for lead ID, your lead ID, with industry equals IT. That's for testing, but we want this to happen in the background. I'll show you how to invoke it in the background so that when the lead is updated, the content is generated automatically and pushed to Growth. Let's look at the actions. This agent uses the action update lead and generate email content. That's the label I gave it. The Apex class being used is trigger growth email for lead, which I'll show you as well. The inputs for this agent are the email body and the email subject, which means our prompt should be something like, generate for me the email body and email subject for this lead ID with this industry type. The agent then gives you the output. Now let me show you the Apex class trigger growth email for lead. We'll go to the developer console. It's a bit small, so let me expand it. As I mentioned, it's called trigger growth email for lead, the same class we're invoking in our agent. It takes in the lead ID, the industry type, the email subject, and the email body. First, this class checks for the lead ID. If it's missing, it stops. Then we focus on the industry type. You can choose any field you want, maybe lead source or lead status, but for the purpose of this demo, we're focusing on the industry type. If the industry type changes to manufacturing, retail, IT, or cosmetics, we generate the email content. That's what this function does. Once the email content has been generated, we push it to Growth. This second class is the one that pushes the email to Growth, and it's a future method. Why a future method? Because in Salesforce, you cannot perform a DML operation and invoke AP_IS at the same time. You'll always get an error, and the AP_IS won't be invoked. That's why we use the future method. Once the DML is done, we make the API call afterwards. We make an API call to an on-demand flow, which I'm going to show you. The on-demand flow is a new type of flow created by Salesforce for use in SFMC growth. It gives us the option to integrate the platform with external systems, so we're able to receive data from external systems into growth. In this on-demand flow, we pass the email data, which contains the email subject and the email body. The individual ID is required in this on-demand flow. It's a must, otherwise the flow will fail. So we pass in the individual ID, and of course we need the email address because we can't send the email without it, and then the email data, which is the body we're passing into the on-demand flow. Later, I'll show you what the email looks like. With that, let me show you the on-demand flow. I'll minimize this, jump into growth, and go to flows. Let me zoom in further. This is the on-demand flow. Let me open it and wait for it to load. As I said, the on-demand flow allows us to interact with external data inside SFMC growth, and that's what we're doing here. As of today, SFMC growth doesn't have an out-of-the-box integration with Agentforce. Hopefully, there will be one. But since it isn't there right now, we push the data from the agent to growth through this on-demand flow. The first decision split checks the ID. Remember, the individual ID is very important for this flow to work. Here it is. It checks that the individual ID is not blank. If it's not blank, we send the growth email. Otherwise, there's a default email for that. I'll show you what this email looks like. I gave it the label email 11x, but of course, you can name it however you want. The email itself is called email 4, and you can choose the sender profile you want. Another important thing about this on-demand flow, let me duplicate this tab. You need to give access, otherwise you'll get an error. Click on Edit Access, then give access to the Einstein agent user and system. Administrator profiles, you need to enable both of these. If you keep getting errors, you can add the other profiles as well, but these two are the most important. Very, very important. After that, let's look at the email. What does it look like and how are we passing this content into it? I'm going to open the workspace I created for this. Remember, the email we're sending out is email 4. I'll go into this folder, open email 4, and click Edit. It's just a simple email, nothing much. As you can see, I just added some simple things, a simple footer, an image, a simple header. This is what I was telling you about. This email body is coming in through growth, and likewise, the email subject is coming from the agent. Remember, in the agent, we ask it to generate the email body and email subject, and that's what's being passed in here. Now, how is it being passed in? Come back and go to Data Sources. There's an option to click Add, and in the Add option, you can choose an Apex class. You only get that one chance. You can only choose one Apex class per email. The Apex class we're using is Email Personalization Data. This is the one that exposes the variables generated by our agent, so they can be used in growth. Let me show you this class real quick. Open Email Personalization. Here it is. Email body and email subject are the two we're focusing on. The rest are used in a different use case, but for ours, we're just focusing on email subject and email body. This class exposes the two variables generated by the trigger growth email class. Once we push them to growth, growth knows which variables it's supposed to pick, and it picks these two. Now, how is it picked? This email is already configured, so let me choose a different email to show you how to configure the Apex class for use inside an email. I'll go into this folder, choose this one, and click Edit. Remember, you can only choose one Apex class per email. Let's configure the data source. You come here, and you see you have your email body. Go to Data Sources and click Add. You'll see the option for an Apex class. Click on it. Search for Email Personalization Data, give it a name, and click Save. Once you save it, it becomes available on your left. That's what you're seeing here. If you then want to add those variables inside your email, click on the handlebars, the merge fields, and you'll find your Apex class data provider there. Go to your sources and click on Direct Attributes. Remember, in our Apex class, we had country, custom message, email body, and email subject. But for our use case, we're focusing on the email body and the email subject. If you click on email body, the API name is generated, and you get an option to pass in default text just in case we need it in the email body. Simple as that, and your email will be sent. Before I do an actual email send, I'm going to show you one more very important flow that I haven't shown you yet. Let's go back and leave this page. Remember when I was showing you the agent, we were supposed to pass in the prompt. When the lead is updated for the agent to generate the email, the prompt must be passed in. So how are we passing that prompt? That's where this last very important flow comes in. Let me find it. Update lead with email content. Send email on record creation. Yes, it's a record-triggered flow, not auto-launched. This is the one. I'll open the flow. Remember, we're just going to call the service agent we created. Instead of typing the prompt into the service agent directly, generate for me email content for this lead ID and industry type, we're going to invoke it inside this flow. First of all, before you even choose the action, the flow runs when a record is created or updated and industry type is changed equals true. Once that condition is true, we pass into this action. Here you have the option for the AI agent action. Click on AI agent, and our Agentforce service agent is right there. This is where you give it the label, the API name, and the agent request, which is the question. Ours was generate email content for lead ID and industry type. That's the prompt we pass in here, and then you click Save. I'm going to delete this element and go to our actual element. It's simple, just pass in the lead ID, the record ID, and the industry type. Since we already gave the agent the instruction in its prompt, when you receive a lead ID and an industry type, generate the email body and email subject. It already knows what to do. Then it sends the email through the Apex class I showed you, the Trigger Growth Email Apex class. This is a very important flow. You should keep it in mind. This is the one that does the prompting. Now that everything is set, the last part is to do the actual send. Let's recap before I send. I've shown you the agent that generates the email content, the flow that sends in the prompt, and the Apex class that pushes the email content to growth. The last thing is testing the functionality. We'll go to our leads, and I'm going to choose the first lead here, Test Agent 1. Remember, you can change the industry type to any of the values, IT, manufacturing, cosmetics. For this example, I'll change it to cosmetics. When I click Save, I should receive a personalized email with cosmetics content, both the subject and the email body. I'm going to click Save, and then we wait. Let's check the inbox and give it some time. Yes, our email is here 0 minutes ago. Let me zoom in. Enhance your brand experience in cosmetics, introducing our specialized content for the cosmetics industry. Simple, nicely styled with the welcome and everything. The email subject and the email body, exactly as generated, pushed straight in. As I told you, this method is really efficient. Remember, Salesforce has limits. There's a cap on how many emails you can send per day. That limit can be surpassed with this method where you invoke the growth email. You also get the option to style the email, pass in images and custom headers and footers, and you can even use your own sender profile that's authenticated in growth and do the actual send. Very efficient, you have control, and you can track opens and clicks inside growth as well, and that's it. That's how you send growth emails when a lead changes in Salesforce. The email is generated by the agent, then we push it into growth for personalization. Thank you, and see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the demo. Today, I'm going to show you the back end of how the service agent will be developed. The first step is to create the email to case, which we'll be responding to. You can search for email to case in the org. That's the first step. Make sure you have the email set up as well. You click on Save. I'm not going to cancel this. Let me search for this. I'm going to click on Preview. Let's say the case description is, I want a refund on the shoes I purchased. Then the case subject, refund on shoes, customer name. After everything is done, we click on Preview. When I look at the email, it shows the flow that enables this entire process to work. For that, we go to the flows. Let me zoom in a bit. The first action here is the email. I'm going to open this class to show you. I have my format case email thread. If you take a closer look at it, one of the inputs is the case ID. For each case, this class retrieves all email messages related to the case, ordered from the oldest to the newest. You can arrange them from oldest to newest. After that, we format the email into a readable text block, and lastly, we combine the emails into a single string separated by dashes. That's what this class does. From the email message, we retrieve all the email messages by the case ID. The request we take in is the case ID. We check whether the agent generates a message that is more than 2,000 or maybe 5,000 characters. We trim it down to 2,000 so we don't get flow errors. So we have the subject line and then the body. From the first action, we forward the email from the message object. The next part is getting the right response. Remember, from that triggering email message we pass in, from the prompt builder, those 4 variables I told you to look at: the case description, the case subject, the customer name, and the email thread. Once that is passed, as you saw when we were testing, we were able to generate a response, and it gets passed into this Apex class. This class receives the reply body and the form address. It receives the inbound message, finds the case, and then finds the correct address. From that, we send a threaded reply. So when you send this email, it appears in the same thread instead of appearing as a separate message, so the customer can respond in the same thread. The inputs are the reply body, the from address, and the message. The output is the success or the error message. The first thing is to retrieve the email messages, and we get the parent ID, the subject, and the message. The next part is to verify the from address lookup. From our organization, we check for the from emails. So make sure in your org you have the from address that we'll use to send the emails to the customer. This part does that. Then we go to the email service lookup. This part checks whether the email message was found. If it was, we use the from address, set the subject, set the body, and the email is sent out. If it sends successfully, we return the message object. Otherwise, we log the error, the description, the email, and so on. That's what this class does, the case-to-email reply service. In our flow, when a message is created, we find the message for that email through the case ID. Then we pick the details from the case ID, the subject, the from name, the description, the email thread, and we log the address to the user. So next time when you're sending the emails, it's there. Let's open the email to case. This is the address. When you come to your email inbox, you click on Compose, address it to this one, and pass in your email message. For example, refund on my Adidas shoes, Adidas football boots. Maybe they did not fit. Once you click Send, the case is created automatically. That's it for this demo, everyone. Thank you very much.